When it goes live. Here we go. Welcome to Eric and Linda Live from Workvine 209. I am Eric.
And I'm Linda. Welcome everyone to our live show today. We're coming from Tracy, California, from Workvine 209. I'm glad to be a part of this community, and we got an excellent live show today, and we're showcasing some dynamic young people out there and young people voices. So I'm going to have Eric introduce our speakers today.
So today we have some great young individuals from across this valley, and we wanted to share a little bit about the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been sweeping the world, and we wanted to hear the voices from these individuals. And so we're going to go ahead and welcome them to our show today. And I'd like for you guys to stay tuned and really listen and learn something, get educated by some young people. We, as older people, we don't know everything. So let's hear from our young voices. Let's go ahead and welcome our first guest.
Hello, I'm Shaylin. I'm currently going into my third year at UCLA, and I'm studying human biology and societies with a focus on public health.
Welcome, Shaylin. Next person.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I'm currently a senior at St. Mary's College, California, and I'm majoring in biochemistry.
Cool. Welcome, Sophia.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline. I'm going into my third year at Clark Atlanta University, and I'm a political science major and economics minor.
Welcome, Jacqueline.
Hello, my name is Malik. I graduated from the University of San Francisco in 2019 from their School of Marketing.
Great. Welcome,
Hey,
Malik.
Hi, I'm Xavier. I go to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I'm about to be a third year, and I'm major in civil engineering. I'm also on the football team at Cal Poly.
Wow, this is great, man. We have some
Hi,
really
Xavier.
educated young people here today. And so we are excited about what you guys are doing to help this world globally. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Shaylin take charge and go ahead and ask you guys some questions, and then I'll go ahead and ask some questions as well. So let's get started, Shaylin.
All right, so the first question that we have for you is how your experience has been protesting. I know a lot of you have been out the past couple of weeks, so maybe also explain like your first protest to like your most recent protest and how things have changed for you.
All right. How about you, Sophia? Oh.
Oh, go ahead, Malik.
I was just going to say the protesting experience, and at least in my city in Tracy, has been at least it's been safe for the most part. So that's been good. We have seen a slight decline in amount of people who have shown up from the first protest to the last protest, but all of our protests are still seeing a lot of good crowds and a lot of positive crowds, and also a lot of diverse crowds. And at all these protests, we've had a lot of good people come out and speak, and we've had great people putting on these protests as well, who should take most of the credit because they're the ones organizing everything that's going on. Jacqueline is one of them. So it's just been, honestly, it's been a pretty good experience.
Great. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll speak on that. Down here in San Luis Obispo, I was actually in Tracy one weekend. I came down on a Sunday afternoon, and we went to what was the end of a protest, and there were only about like 30, 40 people there. So the next day, me and my roommate Jalen, we went out there and we started leading the people that were out there. We actually, when it started, it wasn't very many people, but how we were marching, people started putting on social media, and within the same day, we had hundreds of people out there. And then, we made the decision. We shut down the 101 freeway to make them listen to what we were saying. So we did that, and then we're marching back. And this is my first day protesting down here, and we were completely peaceful. There was nothing, malicious or violent about it, but the police stopped us and stopped our ability to march, which is a violation of our rights to be able to peaceably assemble. And then they actually just started shooting rubber bullets at us and tear gassing us. So that was our first protest. But from there, on Wednesday, 2 days later, we met with the police chief and got a lot of things cleared up because the police officers weren't contacting the police chief. We went to every single police officer. There were about 200 there, and none of them contacted the police chief. But now, we have her personal phone number, so in case anything goes crazy, she's always there to mediate the situation. But on Wednesday, I spoke in front of City Hall. We had a statement from the student athletes at Cal Poly, but we had a much bigger turnout. And then on Thursday, we actually had a NAACP rally, and we had thousands of people come out. In such a small town, it was a pretty great experience to have that, and we still have continued support. Last Monday, we had a protest, and we only posted about it 4 hours before the protest, and still was able to get about 1,000 people out there, which is pretty crazy.
So you guys are doing some big protests, right? You went from 30 people to thousands of people. That's huge. That's a big impact. That is really good.
Yeah,
Jack,
we've been meeting with. Sorry, go ahead and continue. You can go on to the next person. It's all right.
No, finish up.
We've been meeting with the mayor, and we got the mayor here to declare racism a public health emergency. And so actually today at 6 p.m., the city council passed that policy in San Luis Obispo declaring it, and then put pressure on the county to declare racism a public health emergency in the county. So the protesting has been a great experience to be in front of people, but we've been behind the scenes trying to get some legislature passed to get some concrete things changed.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
that's really awesome, Xavier. Great job, man. Great job. I know you didn't do it alone, but it's all about bringing everybody together.
Yep.
I know Jacqueline had waved her hand over there.
So I helped plan the youth-led march in Oakland. That was about 2 Mondays ago. We had about 15,000 people come out. It was amazing.
Wow.
Raised over $5,000 for the Oakland Bail Fund and also for George Floyd's Memorial Fund. My first ever protest, because I live in Atlanta, I'm home for the summer. My very first, and I organized in both cities, in Atlanta and in the Valley and in Oakland. But my first experience being back in California was going to a protest in Oakland, and it was it was like right at the tip of everything that was going on. It was like when it was really hot, when Minnesota was still burning. They ended up tear gassing us like 6 times when we weren't in violation of anything. There were rubber bullets. It was incredibly insane. But one thing that I do have to notice, like,
she froze up. That's all right. We'll get her back.
On our punchline.
Right on our punchline.
We'll get her back. All right. Anybody else? Sophia.
Want me to go while we're waiting for her?
Yes, go ahead.
So for me, my first protest was in Manteca, and thankfully it wasn't as violent or like tear gas or any bullets like that were shot. It was just a couple people just, starting things and instigating, but it wasn't that bad. It was beautiful and terrifying together all at once. I'm not really one for violence, but I think this is definitely something that needs to be done, and it's like kind of scary to be in front of the police or like the SWAT, and it's just frightening, but I think there's power in numbers, and I think this is something that needs to be heard and aware of.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. You guys are doing a wonderful job out there. Let's go ahead and go on to the second question, Shaylin.
All right, if we could just have like maybe 1 or 2 of you answer this question, and that's to discuss how systematic racism has been oppressing Black people.
All right, so I'll go first. I feel like systematic racism it's more deeply rooted than a lot of people know, and it's something that a lot of white people don't see it either, and they don't see the issue. Like I've had a couple white friends come up to me and genuinely try to say that, you know, what's going on in America happens to everybody. And when I tried to explain to them that police brutality is a huge part of it, but it's more than just police brutality. They go on and say, oh, you know, everyone has a tough life, you know, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but you started the race 50 meters ahead of me and it's a 100-meter race, you know? So it's you don't realize the stepping stools that are set in place in the system to keep me down and keep you moving forward. Like you don't understand how the schools in the hood are defunded when the police in the hood are overly funded. Like we were just speaking about earlier, how even in Tracy, they're firing teachers, shutting down classes, and yet they're still over here raising funding for Tracy PD. I couldn't tell you the last time there's a homicide in Tracy. I couldn't tell you. But yet they're still over here increasing funding for the police for literally no reason. So I just feel like the system is made, we know this, the system's made to keep us down, but I just feel like what these protests are so good for is that people are standing up and showing, and all people from all races are showing that, are using their voices to show that we aren't standing for the systematic issue any longer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Welcome back, Jacqueline. I know we lost you for a second. You want to continue?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. You want me to answer this question or finish what I was saying?
Finish what you were saying, because I think it was important.
So the number one thing that I've noticed from like protests from like the start when we first discovered the George Floyd video to now is that we have shifted to now more of a legislative focus in every single protest. When you get there, the posters, the verbiage, the atmosphere, there's a clear defining purpose why everybody's there, like defund police, stop qualified immunity, make police pay for their own trials. It's very focused, and I think I find it the most amazing is that all of the orders for most of the persons seeing are like under 25, which is so cool because it just shows that our generation is reading, learning, and being focused in what we want. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys are our future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you know, at some point, you know, we'll probably have some grandkids, right? And so we want them to start off with that little edge up. So this is really good information. Anybody else on that question?
I got something else to say.
All right.
So another thing I was going to say was I saw this on social media as well. When you Google professional hairstyles for men, only white people pop up. For like the first 20 people. But if you Google search unprofessional hairstyles for men, hairstyles like mine come up. And it's the same for women. If you Google unprofessional hairstyles for women, then African or Black women with natural hair gets brought up. And if you Google search likewise for women, and it's just white people show up. So that's just another thing that's just an issue with the world. It's like there's a stigma around being Black that's just needs to go.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Can I ask you that?
Sure. Go right ahead, Jack.
People seem to like the number one frustrating thing I encounter with talking to like non-Black people, even non-Black people of color, is that they don't understand that racism isn't just direct calling you the N-word anymore. It's not just like do this, do that, let me hang you. All of that does happen. That is the exception and not the norm. Racism now has literally become the basis of everything that we do in terms of like what we deem as excellence. So like Malik was saying with the hairstyles, it's subtle, thinly veiled racist things like that continuously move Black people to like a second class position. It's things like our the hair bill, like it had to be passed through California legislature for Black women and Black men to wear their natural hair to work in school. It's things like in Georgia right now where they're fighting for the hate crime bill. So killing somebody for the color of their skin can be illegal. It's stuff like, I even saw on social media where the ice cream truck song, like the tune of the ice cream truck, is an original racist song that says like run N-word run. It's little things like that to where it starts off with anti-black and anti-black semantics and now is deemed irregular. So yeah.
So there's like subliminal things that have been going on for many years that are still happening. And what we're doing as, colored people, Black people, are educating ourselves to find out more about all these types of things and starting to do things like what you guys are doing to make the change. And that's important. Xavier.
I just want to say a lot of people don't even realize how interconnected a lot of these systems are. Like when I met with the mayor of San Luis Obispo this morning, we were discussing how there was a policy going into the city council to stop the use of natural gas in this county. And a lot of people don't realize, my roommate, he's from LA. He was telling me how in LA there's a literal divide between the rich part of LA, Hollywood, just all those cities up there, and then South Central Los Angeles, and the division between them is the oil fields they have, and how environmental racism is such a huge impact on the health problems that Black people have in their communities. And then this connects into the healthcare aspect of it, because Black people receive much worse degree of healthcare overall, as well as most Black people don't even have the ability to afford better healthcare. And that comes from the fact that when the civil rights era passed, we got social segregation, but no economic, or social integration, but no economic integration. And without economic integration, society divides itself on its own. So that's why there's still Black neighborhoods that are in poverty and all white neighborhoods. The middle school I went to was an all Black middle school, and it was terrible. We had like 15 books for 35 students compared to the white middle school down the street who had a computer for every student. And it's much different. And these systems all interconnect with each other to help each other out. And that's what a lot of people aren't aware of, is that these systems are so prevalent in every part of your life. And, there's a lot more. It could really be an entire lecture on the different systems in place, but they all work together. It's actually insane how they put all those systems in place, but they all have to be completely, not even reformed, but just
demolished.
So, yeah, this system has to be put in place. It's insane.
Wow, that's good. That's good. All right, it's Shaylin.
So recently, like a lot of different phrases and terms have been thrown around, and I feel like a lot of people don't really understand what some of the things that we're saying mean. For example, what defunding the police means. Like a lot of people aren't quite interpreting that the same way that we want them to necessarily. But also, like, if there's any other phrases that people may not be interpreting the right way, you can feel free to explain those as well.
Yeah, I think that was the wrong language to use. Defunding the police. I think reallocating funds is a much better phrase to use, because it's a more concise language for people who don't understand what defunding means. Because people hear defunding and they get frightened. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna get rid of the police? Like, what about all the crime that's going?" No, reallocating funds is to put this money toward things such as education, social services, mental illnesses, welfare, like anything that helps the general population. And I think that labeling it defunding, I'm not even sure who came up with that terminology, but that just creates so much more division and disenchantment, because a lot of people don't even understand what that means. And it really just means reallocating funds, because there's no reason that LA's police department should be $1.7 billion of a budget, or NYPD should have a $6 billion police budget. That just doesn't even make sense.
Right. Yeah. Sophia.
So go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Sophia, sit back here in the corner. Quiet.
You want me to? Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. For me, I agree. Defunding is a sensitive word. I definitely feel like when I talk about people, the first thing they think is you want to get rid of the police, and it's kind of like a controversy because, like, for a Black person, we don't really use the police in general. You know, like they don't help us in any type of way. Anything,
Yeah.
they escalate the situation, so we really don't even go to the police in general. But I understand, like, we need someone to protect us, but I feel like there should be standards to become a police because I feel like anyone nowadays is being a police, and that's why all these brutalities are like happening. No one understands like what's really going on unless you are Black. So I just feel like definitely reallocating the money, like definitely in healthcare. It can be education. It could be, I don't know, like more community like based things. But I definitely agree with reallocating the money to somewhere else because, like you said, the police don't need that much money for what? I don't feel like they need that much money to do what they need to do, which is protect us.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I agree with what you're saying in terms of reallocating the money because yes, we do need to reallocate the money towards other things. But as far as defunding and I do agree that it does create a divide between people saying defund the police, but at the same time, it's like there's no reforming the police, you know?
I agree. I completely agree.
Like you can't, like there's some things I've seen and it's like these cops, you can't just go and say, okay, we're going to incite these, or we're going to put these laws out to stop this from happening. And like even in Seattle, they dropped the no tear gas law, and they still over here tear gassing all these protesters. So It's like these people are like the government's putting these laws in place, and yet Breonna Taylor's murderers are still out on the loose for a law that they made for them, and yet they're not going to enact that law on them. So it's like I agree that defunding the police is in literal terms does mean reallocating funds, but I think we should reallocate all the funds that go to the police to everywhere else and start brand new. Like I think we should defund the police until there ain't no police left, because honestly I don't see any. It's hard to see a good cop in a system that's so corrupt. Like why are you there? Like if everyone stopped being a cop and we could rebuild from there, then okay. But I see cops doing bad things, and I see 100, 200 cops walking right past that one bad cop doing something bad. All those cops there are bad because they're not standing up for the injustice that they're seeing. They walking right past it. Everyone's seen that video. That 78-year-old dude get pushed over by a cop for nothing, cracked his head open on the concrete. Every cop walked past him. I saw one cop there who had a little bit of heart, who reached to go help him. But then the rest of the cops said, stop, leave him there. And they just walked right over him. It's like, I can't believe in reforming a system like that. That's just.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, right now, unless things get a little bit more extreme, like the ability to actually destroy the police and start over isn't completely realistic at this point.
Oh no, for sure. I agree 100%. We can't just wipe the police out tomorrow. I am for sure. We need, if the police were to go away, we need to have another system in place in order. Exactly, already in place to step in.
Like some things we were talking to the chief of police about to address, like, because you could just graduate high school and go be a police officer. Like, I feel like police officers should have to have at least a bachelor's degree minimum. Why would you not want police officers with sociology, psychology degrees, people who know how to deal with mental illness, how to de-escalate situations? It doesn't even make sense.
That's good.
Yeah, like there's people with who have inferiority complexes in high school and then go and become police officers to get power.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a lot more background checks, a lot more screening. Past social media has to be screened. There needs to be a lot more protocols to become a police officer. There's no reason why it should be an 8-week program when
it takes years to be a lawyer.
Yeah. They need to just kind of really, really look at procedures of how they hire, how you can become an officer, and maybe even asking the right questions, because I don't know if they ask those questions. Are you racist? Have you been part of any racial organizations or things like that? So those are really important and good.
I think too, they need to like do a consistent like check-in, like every 3 months you got to get recertified, or every 6 months you got to get retrained, or check their psychological, I don't know, balance or whatever. But they need to be consistently monitored or some way certified for them to get back on the streets.
For sure.
Good. All right. What's our next question? Here we go. All right. Shaylin.
So now that all of these protests have been happening, like, what are your guys' future plans for the movement? Like, are you planning more protests in the future? And what changes would you like to see, both like at a local level and a national level?
So for the Pride Month, I just want to highlight the issues with especially Black trans women and what they deal with in terms of police brutality. I'm helping planning an LGBTQ month rally and march in Oakland this weekend. And in terms of like what I would like to see, I'm personally for prison abolition. We have to start with defund, and I don't believe in reform. We're past the point of reform. If you look at the very basis, the history of why police started as slave patrols to patrol Black people who ran from their slave owners. Then it shifted once slavery ended. Then they turned into police officers to arrest Black people for doing little crimes, to put them back in prison, to convict lease them back into their slave owners. The very origins and basis of policing is to hurt Black people. So when everybody says the system is broken, we need to fix it, the system was never broken. The system is doing exactly what it was built to do. So in order to make real, substantial, long-term change, it needs to go, and we need to restart it. So that starts with defunding, which defund is like a big umbrella. Defund is a big umbrella, and allocation is just one part of it. Also with that, police departments need to get out of schools. They need to end qualified immunity. They need to end using taxpayer dollars to pay for their cases. They need to end. It also goes into private prisons. It's the prison system is not just about the police officers. It's about how it ties into capitalism and continues to use Black bodies in order to continue oppressing people of color. So I totally want to see that happen. San Francisco already started with replacing a majority of its San Francisco Police Department with unarmed community. I forgot what specific word they call them, with community members who are trained in mental health and de-escalation tactics to go deal with those things. Minnesota is starting it, and I don't feel like it's unrealistic at all because we're seeing it before our very eyes.
It's just for me, when we put on the police, getting rid of the police system, I just really want to be careful and like have some Black representation at the national level, because if we get rid of the police system, what are they going to replace it with? I want Black representation to be the voice on guiding that leadership, because that system that's racist, built by a country that's inherently racist, could just as easily re-implement a new system that's not pure. So I'm really kind of concerned about just getting rid of the police right now because of the system that's going to come in after. And I feel like figuring out what system that is the most important steps that needs to be taken at a national level.
Yes.
Yeah, but we go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with both of Xavier and Jacqueline are saying. Like I do. I would just like to say that from my perspective, I would think that moving forward, it's hard in terms of reform, because it's like, I think that the steps that we should be taking towards policing I don't think we should start by abolishing the police, but rather I should start by de-arming the police. I think that should be our first step, because there's no reason for like a traffic cop or a local cop who's just over here writing tickets all day to come up to write me my ticket fully armed. Like, why are you coming up to me with your gun drawn, or why do you have coming up to me with your gun unclipped on your holster for? Like, you just pulled me over to get a ticket like the first. So, and I think we should also work like our first is like how San Francisco is doing, how they're sending unarmed individuals specialized in de-escalate, or they're sending people in that aren't trigger hungry, people who don't know how to handle these situations, because it's unfair for a cop to come up to me guns drawn and expect me to know how to handle a situation that they're supposed to be trained for.
Mhm.
Like I get that doesn't make sense. So clearly in like other countries, like America is in terms of first world countries is leading the race of stupendously with police brutality. We had like 1,400 deaths last year when the next country isn't even reaching 100. Like Canada had like 50 people last year. And it's like, but you know what these other countries have? These other countries have what Xavier said. They have prerequisites to become a cop. You got to go through this 2-year program and these psychological tests in order to just become a cop. It's not an 8-week program. You got to go through these layers and steps by steps. It's like getting your degree. You get your degree in copism, in policing.
It's like worse in America also because police brutality is the 6th leading cause of deaths for Black men in America. A lot of people don't realize that it's that high.
This is
ridiculous.
This is really good. You guys are really educating the people out there. I just want to just say, keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep getting educating, keep going after more information to be able to share. I know we're at our 30-minute mark, but I definitely want you guys to leave with some parting words. And I think it's a good forum to be able to do this again and share more information as you guys continue to grow and move and make changes in your areas of cities and state areas or wherever it is. Maybe it becomes a national movement. So go ahead. We'll start with Shaylin. Any last words or remarks?
I just want to let people know that we can't let this momentum die, that we need to keep protesting, keep signing petitions, keep educating yourself, as well as others, because we're not going to stop this movement until we actually see efficient and substantial changes.
Sophia.
I think that the most important thing right now is to educate one another, and it's also to just let people know and make them aware of like the history of what's going on, because I feel like a lot of people that don't understand the history that is all coming from. You know, like it started with slavery, Jim Crow laws, and now it's mass incarceration. It's the same systems doing the same things, but people don't understand what the purpose was. And it also just starts with you know what I mean? Like, don't just, if you see something happening, don't just keep walking by. If you see someone being racist or like saying the N-word or whatever it is, if it's your friend, no matter who it is, like you need to stand up, you know?
Stand up, yes.
Everyone has a chance to stick up for this moment, and I think it really matters.
Good.
That's good.
That's good. Jacqueline.
I think
You get her back shortly. Oh, you there, Jacqueline? All right.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead, Jacqueline. We can hear you.
To say, just basically what everybody said. Keep protesting. Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, we got you. I think we're having some technical
I just
difficulties.
wanted to say what everybody else said. Educating yourself. Keep making people uncomfortable, because that's the only way real change will happen. But yeah.
All right. Good. Xavier.
I just wanted to say, for all the people watching, you'll see a lot less of these protests in the next couple of weeks, but that doesn't mean that they're not happening. That just means they're not showing it to you. You'll stop seeing these messages in order to slow down the movement, to discredit it. Not a single thing has happened to address this. They try to take meetings with you, try to change street signs, try to do all these little things, these adjustments that actually are no systematic change or are no steps in the right direction, but they try to do that to make you think that they care, that they're addressing it. So that's why it has to keep going, because they still have not passed one policy, one law. They haven't changed anything in the system yet for any police brutality. And Breonna Taylor's murderers are still not arrested. And that just shows that not one thing has changed. So this has to keep going until things change. They will try to make it seem like something has changed, but nothing has.
Yeah.
I agree. Like he said about Breonna Taylor's murders, George Floyd's murders, like they were able to post bail, and I just saw someone who got pulled over and they found weed in his car, and he can't even post bail. Now he's in holding. It's like he was a black man. And it's like, see, it's just not fair. And I just feel like moving forward for my non-black allies out there, like my one main thing that I keep bringing up is that, and I don't mean, because I appreciate all the support from all the other races. Like I really do. And I love seeing all the people out there at all these protests. But my one thing to all you people who aren't black, especially like you white people, like I mean that in the most neutral way possible, use your voice in our favor. And if you, like what Sophia said, if you see injustice, speak up for that injustice and assert your privilege in our favor, because your voice means way more than my voice. It means way more than a lot of the other people's voices in this, and then everyone's voice in this group, in this video chat, just because of the color of your skin. And that's something that we need to change. And it's just, I feel like what Xavier said too, as well, is I would love to see some genuine black people, like black leaders, leading the reform and leading the change, because and I stress the word genuine, because there are people in the force that are of color that aren't genuine, who are on the other side, and it's unfortunate. But it's really important that we do get some genuine black people in there, and that's what I would love to see, that are just leading the charge to give just a little more hope and light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah. Any last remarks, Mrs. Linda?
Man, this was so powerful to me. I've learned a lot. I'm going to do my part in what I need to do to support you guys and to support this movement. I am for, change, and I'm standing up so that change can happen. So we're here for you as your seniors. You guys are a lot younger than Eric and I, but we're here to support you.
A little bit.
Well, a lot younger than him. No, but just kidding. Really, we're here for you, and keep reaching back to us. And if we could provide a platform for you guys to have a voice to speak, we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a space here. So if you guys ever want to get together or collaborate on something or meet with some people, we can reach out to those individuals. Workvine 209 is acceptable to you guys to come in and brainstorm all these ideas that we talked about, and I just want to thank you guys for being a part of this platform and speaking your voices, because these are voices that need to be heard for change. So guys that are listening, people who are viewing this live, it starts with you. What are you going to do to make the change? You've heard it right here from our young leaders of tomorrow, that they're already making change. They're doing what needs to be done to make change. And so we hope that you do your part and be a part of change together. So that's all for now. Thank you for viewing Workvine 209 Live with Eric and Linda. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.